And welcome again to another edition of the U.S. pre-market analysis. I'm Gio Benacore, your host. Welcome to today's edition. I'm just going to allow a couple of minutes here for more people to join us as we get started with today's session. So let me just hold here for a second. Meanwhile, let me just get the disclaimer out the way. The information, context, opinions which are expressed in the presentation and on the following slides are solely those of the presenter and not necessarily those of Vantage, and are solely used for educational purposes as they do not constitute investment advice and or consultation on how a client should trade. Vantage does not guarantee the accuracy or the reliability of the information provided herein. I'm your host, Gio Benacore, a senior VIP market analyst, market educator, and demonstrator of strategies with Vantage, bringing with me over 20 years of experience as a commodity trader, and I hold a Series 3 license. Also, I'm a CMT candidate. The agenda: economic calendar, what's moving the markets, identifying key levels of support and resistance, trading with Fibonacci tools, and others. About Vantage. Well, Vantage ecosystem offers you over 1,000 instruments, over 100 chart patterns, over 100 technical indicators and drawing tools. We offer CFDs on Forex, indices, shares, commodities, and cryptocurrencies. What we stand for: lightning fast execution, award-winning 24-hour support, intuitive tools, global connectivity, strict regulation. All right. So let's just start with some of my ideas or some of my points of view. I like to identify clear, consistent trading habits. Now, I also like to be comfortable with the prospect of losing money if the market goes against me. I also emphasize risk management to be used by percentage-wise between 1 and 2% of your equity, or your total balance, your account balance. So for example, on a $10,000 account, each trade I'm looking to risk between 100 and 200, and looking for a risk to reward ratio of 1 to 3. So that will give me plenty of opportunity to make a profit and control my emotions. Also, volatility can spike and spreads can widen, so reducing leverage throughout this moment is a good idea. And the use of stop loss is always highly recommended for you to use stop loss. Okay, and specifically once you are in profits, you can either use a trailing stop or you can be dragging your stop loss above your entry. Some of the points of view that I want, some of the steps that I like to take is, obviously we want to identify trends, we want to time our entry and exit points, risk management, and confirmation and validation. All right, well, let's get to it real quick. I think it's first important that we have a shared common vocabulary for what is technical analysis. So I'm gonna dive right in there real quick. Now, is technical analysis just a form of data visualization? Well, obviously, charts, charting, displaying market data in lots of different data visualization modes is a big part of where technical analysis come from. But usually, you gotta go back a couple hundred years to the rice pits of Osaka, Japan, for a gentleman named Monohisa Homa, who invented the Japanese candlesticks as a way to try to capture all of the behavior of traders in those rice pits. We've, of course, advanced the discipline over hundreds of years, and there are lots of different chart types. But I'm going to argue to you now is that technical analysis is far more than just collecting data and displaying it in a way that we can interpret a lot of information quickly. That is part of it, but if you look at definitions from some of the very early texts from the 1920s, 1930s, said technical analysis is about the study of the market itself, all that price action, all of the investor behavior, everything that's happening in an open, freely traded market is part of our discipline. And I love that definition because it is quite broad, and hopefully through today's session you'll understand just how broad and the depth of study that you'll go through. And we also No, that technical analysis is a study of that supply and demand relationship. We care a lot about the behavior and the psychology of investors, and it's one of the hardest things to quantify when you're thinking about investment decisions. And I'll argue is that is all represented in this beautiful little element called price, which we can call it also a systematic evaluation. And systems, the reason I bring this quote up is that a lot of us have heard about algorithmic trading, high frequency. You might be an advanced programmer, you might know Python or R or many other languages, and that is an important way to express some of the ideas. But if you're not a coder, you're not an algo trader, you should be thinking in terms of systems, a rule-based, repeatable approach. And that's something that was drilled into me as I spent surrounded by some of the best money managers in the business, is that they have a defined, repeatable process or a system that they follow no matter what the market is doing. Now, a quick refresher for your Economy 101 class. Now, remember, at a fixed rate of supply, an increase in demand is going to move us up the price equilibrium, or a decrease in demand will move price down the equilibrium. So when we're thinking about an open, freely traded market, demand, greed of investors is inherently pushing prices up, and fear or selling pressure is going to push price down because it's a fixed supply. I want you to hold that thought in your mind because it is perhaps one of the most important parts of the magic that we're trying to unlock here, or the message of the market that we're trying to decode, which is related to learning that if you take emotion, that would be, the could be, or the should be out of your decision making, and if you look at just what is happening and you can quantify that, you have a big advantage over most human beings. And I will argue for all of us in the investment discipline, there's a lot of emotion tied to those trading decisions and that we make each and every day, and those emotional impacts on our decision making can be very negative. So the more you can remove your emotional and cognitive bias from your decision making, the better chance you have of staying on the right side of trends. Now, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. I'm going to start sharing my charts so that we can begin with our analysis for today's market fluctuation. And I try to identify some trades for today. All right, so in front of us we have a daily candlestick chart, and the lines that you see here, the red and the green represent levels of resistance, and the red ones support, and those are the levels that I have placed yesterday. Today, the market has already penetrated the psychological barrier of 24,000, which is the second level of resistance placed yesterday. Yesterday, the market penetrated the first level, violated it, but it closed below it. Today, we actually opened gap up on this asset, on this index. It was closed, and the market continued to push higher. Now, today, the PPI, let's take a look real fast at the economic calendar. So today, the PPI came in actually negative. Now, what does this actually mean? That the obviously the PPI, the product price index, came in negative, which is actually telling us that the price for the producer, it didn't expand as it was contemplated, which it would have been 0.3%. So that in reality was a good point, a good indication that inflation is not causing such big harm to the producers and to the end consumer. Now, the question always relies, so who pays for this tariffs? Yes, obviously the consumer pays that, but there's also a tug and pull between the exporters and the importers. So there, between them two, they will have to obviously come in and deal with that particular value. But this obviously has taken the dollar index for example, just hop into it, for it to actually become a retrace or pull back on its earlier move downward. So we saw a strong push on the dollar index. So this is good for the dollar index, obviously. So we are speculating that today the markets are gonna be opening to the upside. So we're looking for new all-time highs being created in Nasdaq, which we are basically 20 pips away from that. And this is the all-time high created back on August 13th. Okay. Oddly enough, it was a day before the last month's PPI number, which came in very high at 0.09%, and the market actually dropped. So today being a negative, which is a positive for the markets, we are speculating that the market will rally. So therefore, since we are looking at reaching that all-time high, I am going to use that as my first level of resistance, or my first target for the market today. My second level, which anything higher from this will be a new all-time high. We can either just select a level that is a psychological value like 24,100, but we will be quite close to that previous all-time high. I'm not saying that it is not going to hit there, or it will hit there, but that could be one place. Another thing that we have at our disposal is the trend-based fib extension tool. So with this tool, we can come in actually and measure this trend, and from this low, from this day, we can come in and measure from this low to the high to the low, and use the Fibonacci golden ratio proportion. So let's just use that right there, 24,115. That will be our second level of resistance. Now, as far as support, well, we can come in and use our fib retracement tool from this high to a low, right? And see if how much of a retracement the market is going to see. So we are going to do it in this way. All right, so retracement, right? We have a pretty strong move to the upside. So initial target, or the initial level, will be that golden proportion, right? And then I'm gonna use a psychological value of 22,800 as my second level. So there we go. We have our levels of support and resistance for today. Now the S&P is making all-time highs. So why wouldn't we speculate or expect for the obviously the Nasdaq to do the same? So let's use those values. We basically are in a new level. So I'm just gonna use 50% and the 61% as my possible levels of resistance. I'm gonna use this particular value, so 61, and then I'm gonna use 6,500. Yeah, I know it's quite low, but that is psychological value. Okay, so we have that there. Now let's take a look at the Dow. So the Dow Jones, hey, Dow Jones also hitting that all-time high. So let's just time that up as our first level of resistance. Our second level, 45,900. And let's just use our retracement tool to identify a possible level of support, the golden proportion, and I'm going to use, in this case, a second value, a Fibonacci value. So there we have our levels for the Dow. Now let's take a look at crude oil. So crude oil, with that particular attack of Israel on Qatar, on Doha, and Qatar being a pretty rich crude oil country, obviously there's going to be some perhaps retaliation. We don't know what's going to happen, but we are contemplating or speculating that the market will continue to rally to the upside. So I'm going to use yesterday's open, yesterday's open for my first level of support, and then a previous swing low. So looking to go long, looking to be long the asset crude oil. Nat gas seems to be pushing lower. Now there is an oversupply building up for nat gas, so I'm going to speculate that nat gas will be entering a sell-off mode or entering a downtrend. It has been making pretty strong move to the downside. I mean to the upside rather, but it's time for it to, I think, to actually look at this triple top. Okay, but obviously I'm just gonna leave that there. All right, so gold. Let's take a look at gold. So gold actually fluctuated higher, made another all-time high yesterday. So that was basically hit. I'm gonna leave the same levels. 3,600 is gonna be my level of support, and then just yesterday swing low. Now, just how much the dollar index will push lower or higher will put some pressure on, obviously, on gold. Let's take a look at silver. Silver open gap down. It has been closed. Much of this was because obviously that valuation of the dollar index. So let's use 41,500, and then I'm gonna use that swing high. As far as support, this level talks to me a whole lot. So let's see if that will be the level of interest, and then I'm just gonna use 40.28. Copper is making a nice move to the upside. It hit up first level of resistance from yesterday though. So I'm basically going to just use 454 and my second 456. As far as support, I'm going to use 448, and then I'm going to use 446. Psychological values, round values. Bitcoin. Oh, Bitcoin is making a move to the upside. So I'm going to leave the same levels. They haven't been really been violated. So looking to go long Bitcoin. The euro. Okay. Pretty wild swing for the euro. Today did open gap down and push even lower. So let's see if it's able to climb back up. So I'm gonna leave 117.50-ish as my first level. 1 minute. My first level of resistance, and then that double top right here. Okay. I'm gonna do the pound. So the pound, I'm gonna look for the value of 135.8 around this level, and then 136 final target. Level of support 135, and then the swing low. And the dollar index, well, we see the dollar index just fluctuating around our level of resistance on 98 psychological, and then 97,400 as my first level of support. So let's see if the dollar index will appreciate today and push higher. Now that I've done this, I'm gonna break it down and take a look at an hourly rate, an hourly chart, and take a look at what the market is showing me, the momentum. I've seen that in this time frame, we are overbought in the RSI, but yet we are speculating that the market will push higher and obviously make a new all-time high. The S&P well, I'm more than sure it's gonna look to revisit that all-time high. So pushing higher. Oh, intraday, nicely uptrend. Then we have the Dow also showing us an uptrend. Overall, the market has been on an uptrend. Then we have nat gas looking to just push lower. So in this hour, the market has been pushing lower. Just how much lower would it go? We need to wait, obviously, and see what will happen. Nat gas, a sell-off, profit taking could be this be taking the place. Then we have gold. So gold, after information, it did spike and is retraced now, but it's holding itself right around 36.45. So let's speculate that another leg up is going to occur after that PPI number coming out. Silver looking to recuperate as well. In this scenario, this hour has been in the green. The previous hours were basically in a downtrend. Then we have copper pushing higher, pushing higher, pushing higher. Great momentum behind copper right now. RSI is far away from, well, actually getting nearer to overbought, but still room. And Bitcoin making that parabolic movement during that PPI number coming out. So always a positive number. Then we have the currencies basically making 117 the pivot point, looking to sustain itself north of that. And so let's see if that will be the case for it. Now the pound looking to reach 136. So momentum in this hours to the upside as well. And the dollar index seems to be all beginning to decline again. All right, now that I've done this, I've identified my levels of support and resistance. I break it down to 5 minutes and then start looking for opportunities. I will turn on my fractals and I will turn on my VWAP. So VWAP is volume weighted average price, and in this particular indicator, the blue line is the VWAP, which tells us that that's the price where most volume has been applied. Where the market's above it, it will attract to it. It acts like a magnet. So anytime that the market penetrates the upper band, when it's above it, we can contemplate or speculate that the market will fluctuate down towards the VWAP, and that will be a entry short in that case, and then obviously we'll look to reverse that. So let's take a look at the other assets and see what is doing. Right now, volatility has taken the market, the price outside of this range. All the three indices are doing that. All right, so here's an example. So the market fluctuated lower, penetrated the upper band, and look where the market is rebounded so far off of the VWAP. So that would have been an entry long, because it'll be a reversal and it'll be a short trade. So it'll be a scalping trade, and the target will be obviously the upper band. So let's see how we enter here. Target over here. The stop could be that level. That's previous swing low. Right around here. Yep. Okay. So then we have a trade open in that particular asset. So looking to go long, even though say go short. Then nat gas is actually entering the VWAP, and this would have been an entry long of target VWAP, and the stop would be the previous swing high. So we have two trades entered. Now gold is basically just sideways trading right now, looking to give us a direction. Let's see if if gold will fluctuate towards our upper band, or will the VWAP attract it, and then just like it did here and just like it did here, reverse that. So just like it has done here, the market just basically consolidation. And so let's see what will happen. All right, let's take a look at silver. So silver already did its move to the upside after being around, fluctuating around the VWAP. So right now there's nothing but waiting to see what will happen with silver. Copper, it's out of the VWAP, so we want to see if this fluctuation will bring the asset back into the VWAP, and then we could enter a possible reversal long on the asset. Then we have Bitcoin, that the VWAP is just way, it's not even coming up. Too much volatility on the Bitcoin for the VWAP to be calculated. All right, then we have the currencies in rally mode. So that was a nice, push to the upside, reversal of the VWAP, and it took to the rally, up to the races. The pound penetrating the VWAP. Once it penetrates the VWAP, we can take a trade. I mean, yeah, on this one, it opened below, like this one. But let's see what will happen. Dollar index below the VWAP. All right, so let's take a look at NASDAQ and see, because the market is about to open anyhow. So we can come in and contemplate an area. We are obviously speculating the market to move higher. So that's what we should be shooting for, speculating that the market is going to push higher. Let's see what will happen in about 3 minutes. Take a look at the S&P. Okay, so that's the swing high. That's from the obviously from the PPI coming out. Let's see. Let's take a look at Dow. Oof. All right. Crude oil. Ooh, crude oil just tanked. Nat gas is pushing higher. So we did. Ooh, and it's continued to push lower crude oil. So we do have a correlation between the crude oil and NASDAQ. Crude oil drops, NASDAQ jumps. But we're not seeing that right now, but we should. Nat gas continue to push higher. Let's see how much higher. We'll push $3 psychological target. Gold, idling, consolidation. Looking for direction. Still above the VWAP. Then we have silver. All right, silver. Silver pushing higher. So let's see if it will do a reversal of the upper band. Copper finding support. Bitcoin getting ready for another leg up. The euro pushing higher. Pound. All right, so pound is pounding his way higher. Let's see how much, if we be able to revisit that all-time high. That's this high. Sorry, this high of the pound. Dollar index. We should speculate what a big gap down this was for the dollar index. It was closed, but that should continue to push lower. Let's go back to the NASDAQ, and the market is about to open. So initially, the market, there could be obviously a move lower. Let's just see what we can come in and anticipate for today's market fluctuation. Let's see. So let's see, the market opens up in a few seconds here. Once this candle finishes in 23 seconds, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. All right, let's see what will happen. Let's see what is the scenario for the markets. All right, so there we go. Market pushing lower. This is profit taken from all those that were obviously long the position. Quick, deep retracement. Let's see how much of a retracement will it do. Is it gonna be just to the push lower here or no? Vantage is looking at 23.940. Or has that push lower been supported and now the market is reversing? Again, we want to allow like 15 minutes for the market to settle and give us an opening range. And from that opening range, we can come in and speculate movements. So what a difference when the PPI came out. It was great. Spiked. Now the market, seeing that information, is retracing, just pushing lower. That's just profit taken. And then let's take a look at the other assets. The same thing goes for the S&P. So you could contemplate a reversal long of the VWAP as the market comes in and rejects it. Then we have the Dow. Let's see where the VWAP will be printed out on this one. I know the Dow is recovering, pushing higher. It's a lot of volatility right now in this asset. Crude oil. Ooh, pushing lower. So $63 is the target. Let's see if that would be the case. Looking at crude oil. So we are in the lower band of the VWAP. Could this be a reversal long into the VWAP? That could be the case. But we want to wait and see what will happen. Nat gas. Alright, so nat gas continuously just idling there, so I'm just gonna turn this off. But it was a good trade. Gold finally breaking out. Gold is breaking out. Let's see how much of a push to the upside will it do. Alright, continuously pushing higher. Then we have silver also breaking out. Looking for those long positions. Copper should also break out. Bitcoin making that momentum to the upside being built. Then we have the euro just chugging along. The pound as well. And dollar index. Let's see what will happen. Pushing lower. So obviously, there was a pretty big gap so it has been closed, but momentum to the downside. It's going to continue. The dollar index itself is in a doghouse. So we have a reversal of the VWAP. See that? So that's why the VWAP is used. Rejected. So target the upper band. Let's see what will happen. Let's continue to push for other assets. The S&P getting ready for a recovery towards that fractal high. Dow Jones penetrating the entire VWAP. Didn't do a reversal just yet. Take a look at crude oil. Basically a double bottom here with this wicks, but overall the asset is looking to push lower. Nat gas, $3 has been rejected really. Let's see if it'll be able to fluctuate above that. Gold, nice move to the upside. This is getting ready to be a pullback. Silver, pushing higher. Yep. Nice move to the upside on silver. So can we see silver $42 by Friday? Let's see. 42 for silver. Now can we see gold? Let's look at gold real quick. Can we see gold at trading at 5,000 by the end of the year? Oh, that's a lot. But hey, well, basically we will have to fluctuate 1,400-ish to reach 5,000. But first of all, let's hit 4,000, which is more feasible. And once we hit, and depending on when we hit 4,000, we can contemplate hitting 5,000. Silver pushing higher, pushing higher. Nice move to the upside. Copper as well. Nice move to the upside. Bitcoin. The euro. And the pound. Pounding away. Okay. Dollar index. Pushing lower. Pushing lower. Okay, cool. We're basically 7 minutes into the open. We are looking at creating a range right around 23,930 as a low, and the high will be obviously the swing high or the all-time high, or the swing high that was created by the PPI number coming out. Let's see what will happen. Continue to push lower right now. We want the market to give us that range, that initial range. Okay, let's take a look. I'm continuing to see that the market is rejecting this area, the zone. So basically this area. So we're looking for markets to fluctuate towards it and then get rejected and push higher. The S&P, let's take a look at the S&P. Look to your left and you hit that volume cluster, looking to push higher. Is that going to be the case for the asset? Dow, use our index. I mean the crude oil WTI contract. Finding our bottom here, pushing higher. Let's see. Target will be the VWAP. Nat gas, just idling. Let's see if it'll be able to break $3. Would that be the case for it? Perhaps, or perhaps not. Now we have here the asset. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at silver. Ooh, pushing into the VWAP. But there's a lot of support here. Copper, not making any sense. Bitcoin, the euro. 10 minutes into the first trading session, we need to wait obviously 15 minutes to see have more sense of the market behavior for today. Dollar index. Let's go back to the Nasdaq. Is it gonna do this? Is it gonna penetrate this area, this zone? Then from here, just jump and push higher. We could see that. Okay, so it did hit our zone. It's penetrating our zone. Let's see how much more of a penetration would it make. Is it gonna find that support? Is it gonna find those buyers around that level to sustain the level? Or is it gonna come down to a psychological value of 23,900? That could also be a case. I mean, obviously we want to be able to see the market fluctuate towards our levels, push higher, at least towards the upper band. If it does that, I mean, it is penetrating the VWAP, so, and the lower band is below 23,900. So let's see how much more of this 3 minutes left on this candle, because it could probably just lose its bottom here and then just free drop towards the 23,900. So at this time, we obviously want to wait 15 minutes for the market to have opened and giving us that opening range. We're still working on that. We still have 3 minutes left for the market to give us an opening range and then just push higher. If it's going to do that, let's see. Because right now it's finding that support around this level, around this zone. Pushing higher. Let's take a look at other assets real quick. We come back to it in a minute. All right, then we have the S&P 500 pushing a bit higher. All right, then we see it pushing lower. Let's see. Dow Jones. Oh, Dow Jones is just looking to hit our first level of support. Ooh. Crude oil must be. So crude oil did find its bottom here, perhaps. Nat gas is pushing lower. It's getting, all right, so it did fluctuate above $3. Nat gas, but then quickly retreated. So let's see if $3 being a psychological level of support, what has been rejected. I mean, if the market comes to the VWAP and kind of penetration and close above the VWAP, I will look to enter long. Gold. Wow, gold just silveration. Silver off the upper band. In this time frame, this area is a strong level of resistance. Copper. Oof. Let's be long copper. All right, then we have here Bitcoin. Spoke about that leg up. There it is. 114. Euro nicely climbing to meet that high. Let's take a look at others. Pound idling. Dollar index. We want this dollar index to drop so we can see a nice push on the upside on the currencies and the metals. All right, so we did have our rejection of the level of support, and And the asset is looking to recover. Let's see how much of a recovery.
Roger, you didn't open your mic.
Oh, shoot. Thank you. Oh, man, all this time I've been. I wonder why it does that.
Right?
No, the mic got muted. I wonder why it does that when I change screens. All right, so the market's looking to push lower. So this is taken out. Okay. So possible reversal trade of the lower band is going to be contemplated in this asset. We still have, we'll be basically 15 minutes into the opening range. Then we have the S&P 500 allowing the charts to populate the VWAP. All right, so we've fluctuating around the upper band. So we're holding near 65.50. This is a great setup. Possible continuation to the upside, meeting that fluctuation high during the PPI number coming out. So initially entering long, we want to wait for this candle to obviously close in the green and above the upper band, which is doing so far right now. So entering long will be the fractal high, that would be the initial target. Levels of interest will be 65.55 fractal, and then that swing high. So the market has already given us an almost opening range. I mean, it did open 65.40 when the PPI came out, so that could be that low. But obviously we want to see if the market is going to be able to recover and close above the upper band for us to enter long in this asset on the S&P. Take a look at the Dow. If it's finally, all right, so Dow is finally recovering. In this particular asset, our entry would have been the crossing of the lower band target, initial target 45,700, which is where the VWAP is. And as it continues to fluctuate higher and it closes above the VWAP, then the upper band, initially 45,720 would be our target. So market is recovering. Buyers are coming in. Volume column is pushing higher. RSI is looking to hit 50, and we wanted to cross 50. So we have hit the VWAP, penetrated VWAP. Next target 45,720, and that's coming towards it. And that's basically that. Then the upper band is going to be our ultimate goal. Initially on this candle, we still have a minute 20, and that's basically been hit. Once we close this candle, if we have closed above the upper band, we understand the volatility has amplified. So therefore, we should contemplate or speculate that if this candle closes above the upper band, we can either add to our position, take profit, and if you're not in the market, you could re-enter the market and target the fractal high 4,500 and that swing high that we saw during the PPI number. This is profit taken. If we did penetrate that upper band, obviously we want to be able to see that this candle closes above the upper band for us to contemplate another entry long. So let's see if that will be the case. But it seems to be retracing. The VWAP is going to be our level of support, which is a psychological value. 45,700. 2 seconds, and it closed above the VWAP. So this candle's pushing lower, penetrating our VWAP. So I want to see that penetration could have just be given us a possibility that a profit taking was taking place. I want to see if the market will come down towards this previous swing high to contemplate an entry long or reversal long. The market could have just began to continue to push higher. So let's see. Crude oil, we were talking about shorting crude oil. We had done that short. The lower band acted as a nice level of dynamic support. So now the market is pushing lower. So again, target will be that lower band. Nat gas, $3 or 3 was our psychological level of resistance. It was penetrated. Now it's just basically idling, making that equal highs, equal lows. So breakdown is what is showing us. We want to be able to fluctuate below that band. Now gold. So gold, the upper band is acting as a dynamic level of resistance as we speak in these prior 3 candles. So will gold just decide to make a swing low? If it does make another swing low, you see that how in this candle it found support around this bottom cluster. So that's what I'm going to identify and see if gold does continues to push lower. We'll find that level, the support, those buyers waiting here like it did in this previous candle. That will be a reversal long if it happens, contemplating or speculating to enter the market long or buying the market around this area if it's rejected, obviously. Because obviously gold could also just begin to make another leg up. Okay. Again, these areas are of looking to revisit that swing high, that new all-time high that it made during the PPI number. So we basically are in virgin territory. All of this fluctuation has been done today. So speculating a push higher, gold long term. Can we see gold reaching 5,000 by the end of the year? We have things like interest rates, obviously tariffs, right? The Fed's independence, geopolitical uncertainty being always on the front burner. So initially we want to be able to reach 4,000 and see how soon do we reach 4,000. But to reach 4,000, to say that we're not gonna reach 4,000, it's going against the trend. An overall long-term trend for gold is higher, and it is gonna continue to push higher. Obviously, there will be moments of corrections, but depending on how soon we reach 4,000, we can contemplate then we're hitting 5,000 by the end of the year. So by December 31st, where will gold be? At 5,000? Below 5,000? Above 5,000? There's a lot of time left between now and then. Basically 3.5 months, a bit more. But again, initially we want to see how soon we reach 4,000, and today we got closer to 3,700. So 3,700 is a lot more feasible than 4,000 right now. So let's say, for example, that by chance we reach 3,700 by Friday. It is doable. We're basically $50 away from it, right? So if we do happen to reach 3,700 by Friday, then 300 more for the remainder of September, it's doable, it's feasible, it makes sense. So can we then contemplate and say that 4,000 by the end of September? Is it far-fetched? Well, the market is giving us is a continuing making new all-time highs. So hitting 4,000 by the end of September is not as crazy as it sounds. All right, silver, on the other hand, its demand is continuing to obviously be there, incrementing with all these EVs, and another case for gold before I forget. Obviously, we have seen demand for gold continue to rise. We saw most of the momentum to the upside that drove gold above 3,500 was the wedding season in India. So that was one obviously catalyst for gold to push higher. China also being a big consumer of gold, and all the central banks are buying gold, and they're going to continue to buy gold because I understand that for centuries gold has been a safe asset, and it will hold that value throughout time. So again, the scenarios that we have in front of us will push gold higher. Also, a silver higher, $42 for silver between now and the end of September. It is doable. $5 for copper. Copper is gonna be, it's a very there's high demand of copper. Now, is one asset that supply is a lot, so that's why we're not seeing copper at the tens of dollars as we see silver be. But to hit $5 between now and the end of September, hey, that's another speculation that is not far-fetched. All right, Bitcoin making that new higher leg that we were speaking about earlier. So 114,000 was the psychological level. It has been reached. It fluctuated above that, fluctuated below it. Profit taking obviously has happened. Now another leg higher towards the 115 marker. So Bitcoin, is it really far-fetched to say that Bitcoin will reach 200,000 by the end of the year? Okay, well it could be, and it couldn't be. All right, so the currencies above 117 for the euro. Nice move to the upside. It didn't quite reach that swing high throughout the PPI, but it's not saying that it's not going to throughout the day. Pound, again, we're still looking to reach that swing high. Doing a little bit of retracement here. Perhaps it'll find some support around 135,500, and that will happen if we see that the dollar index, rather than appreciating, continues its decline and comes and meets that swing, that gap open on this candle. So that will be a lot of space for the currencies to push higher and the metals to push higher. All right, well, that'll be it for me today. Thank you for watching, and she'll be seeing you tomorrow, same time, same place. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.